Welcome to the Apexia Growth Engine, where we sit down with founders and growth leaders using smart strategy, systems, and automation to scale mid-market businesses. I'm your host, Philip Hollowell, and today I'm excited to chat with Pete Neubig, co-founder and CEO of VPM Solutions. Pete has not only built and exited successful companies, but now he helps property management businesses grow leaner and smarter by hiring trained virtual assistants through his niche platform. Pete, welcome to the show. Excited to have you here.
Philip, thanks so much for having me, buddy. Appreciate you.
Not a problem. So tell me, can you take us back to the early days? What led to property management and then eventually founding VPM?
Look, like everybody else, I was always taught, go to a good school, get good grades, and then, get a good job. And I was never, even though I had uncles that were entrepreneurs, I was never brought into being an entrepreneur or business owner. I was my family, my mom and dad's like, hey, we never went to college. We want you to go to college, get, good grades and get a good job. So I got decent grades. I got a decent job. And I did that for like 20 years, man. Like I was an IT guy from 1992 to like 2012. So I was an IT guy for a long time. But I always knew something was better. And in early 2000s, I started buying properties. And ended up buying about 3 apartment complexes and 31 single family homes while I was working full time. And I was kind of managing the properties. It was a mess. I mean, talk about 80, 90-hour work weeks. But I just realized at some point, like every time I was driving into the office, a fleck of me would just die off. Like just a piece of me would die. And so finally one day I got the courage to talk to my wife and I said, hey, I think I want to quit my 6+ figure a year job to start a property management firm. And look, if you're, it's so it, I will say this. She said those magical words, I believe in you. And so if you're listening to this, I think the first thing you have to have is a partner that believes in you and sometimes believes in you more than you believe in yourself. Whether that's a business partner or a life partner. Um, we I had my wife and I, Felicia, we had already paid off a lot of debt. We had everything but the house was paid for. We didn't have any kids. So, she would actually ask me, like, if not you, who? If not now, when? When are you going to take the jump? Like, just go for it.
Mm.
And it didn't hurt that we were managing 60 doors. I only owned 31. So I already had a company in kind of proof of concept, so to speak. So I ended up quitting my job probably 6 months later than I probably should have. I paid myself $1,000 a month those first couple of years. I slung real estate on the side with my license to make up for the difference, and I slowly built a property management firm starting in 2012, and I exited that firm in 2019. At that time that we exited, we had 984 single-family management doors or single-family properties that we managed in 3 markets. We sold to a venture-backed company. And then from there, I took a job with the company. I was making more money I ever made in my life. So they were paying me more salary than I was paying myself. We sold for, between $4 and $5 million as an exit. And so we were, I owned 45% of the company. So I had more money in my bank account. I had more money coming in. My wife was still working. We don't have any kids still. So it was just really like a lot of money coming in. And I was more unhappy than I've ever been. So the next thing is if you are looking at exit, make sure you know what you want to do next because once they buy you and you don't own the firm, they can tell you what to do, right? And so like not only did I have a boss, but my team didn't really like the culture was different. My clients would call me up, I couldn't help them. It was just really they just ran a much different business than the way I would have ran it, and it really affected me mentally. So I
Mm.
made it about a year and a half. And in the meantime, I was trying to figure out what do I do when I grow up. And at 50 years old, um, me and another business partner, Ross and I came up with the concept of, hey, remote team members is really big in our industry, in property management and real estate industry. What if we can create a better mousetrap? And so we developed what came VPM. And so I became a tech, you know, co-founder at 50 years old. And that was very interesting because I invested about 400 grand into the business before we started seeing a profit. And I know it doesn't sound like much to some of these folks out there that are raising capital. I did not want to raise funds. I'm a control freak, especially after my experience with the VC company that bought us when we had the management firm. So I learned a lot of lessons. And one of the lessons is if you're going to start a service-based industry, you don't have to come up with a lot of capital. You have to come up with a lot of time because you can wear all the hats. When you're building a tech business, unless you are a developer and you can actually write the code, you're going to have to invest money into that business. And so I invested a bunch of money into that business. Back in 2020, 2021, we finally had a product that we had out there. And so today we're doing about, I think we'll end up doing about 2.5, 2.6 million this year, which is what I ended with on the property management firm. So what I did in not 8 or 9 years in the property management firm, I'm doing in 4 to 5 years on the next firm. So I guess, I guess you don't get, business doesn't get easier, but you get better is maybe an old adage. And so that's kind of the journey.
Completely feel that. Similar age, similar pathway.
Yeah.
So,
And I learned a lot. Like I learned a lot when I owned a property management firm. Like I learned stuff like you have to have a culture, right? I didn't, that was something like it kind of was like hocus pocus, but it actually matters so much. I learned more about key performance indicators. I learned how to hire better. I learned how to hire more effectively. I learned how to give away, I learned how to delegate. So there's a lot of lessons that I learned owning the first company that I took to the second company, and it's really made the second company grow exponentially, obviously, double in a short period of time.
I think that's one of the key things that you hear all the time is you're never going to grow if you can't let go of control.
There's a great book called "Let Go to Grow," so there's two sayings, right? Let go to grow, and then the other one is you're only going to grow to the ability of your CEO. So again, if you're listening to this, are you a $50,000 a year CEO because you were an employee and you moved to a CEO of your company, or are you taking business courses? Do you have a business coach? Are you listening to the podcast, and are you becoming that 1 million, 10 million, or $100 million CEO? And to be honest with you, Philip, I know my limitations. I'm probably a $10 million CEO. Once we start hitting 10 million in ARR, I'm going to have to move on to owner level and hire a CEO. Mm-hmm. Or I'm going to have to continue to grow so that I become this $100 million CEO.
Yeah. Yeah, that completely makes sense. So, question for you. What's been key to scaling VPM Solutions so quickly? Like, what do you think is some primary key?
It's relative, right? Like, so it's all relative. Like, somebody may look at us and say, well, you're $2.5 million and you're 4 years old or 5 years old. That's not scaling quickly. And then others may be like, oh my goodness, I'd love to have a $2.5 million business. So I think it's all perspective. I can tell you that we're scaling at the rate that we're comfortable with. Obviously, everybody would like to scale more. I get that. But again, it goes back to bootstrapping versus investment. And I have, there's no other investments, no other investors in VPM. I don't have private equity. I don't have VC. I don't have angel money. I don't even have friends and family. This was Pete backed. And because it's Pete backed, there's only so much time and money that you can allocate. And when you're a startup, especially developing, it took me quite a bunch of time and money just to develop the platform. Then you have to market the platform. Then you have to hire the people and all that stuff. It really took a little while. This year in 2025, we started SEO in 2020, and we're finally seeing a huge return on that investment in 2025. So it took like four or 5 years to get there. But the early days, I grew by going to a lot of conferences, and I still do that today. That is probably the most expensive way to get a lead. right? Because I got to pay for the conference. I got to fly out there. It's my time, effort. I got to buy, food and drink when I'm out there. You got to entertain. It's a lot
Yep.
that goes into it. I think last year I spent maybe 200 grand on conferences. So, I had a lot of connections in that industry, so I just leverage those to leverage those relationships so that I can start the business and get the business going. Now that we're profitable, we take that money and we invest into SEO. We're investing into paid ads. We believe in partnerships. So we have like a Gold Glove partnership. We have a learning management system or an LMS or a training academy partnership. We have a Gold Glove marketplace partnership. So all for free. Like we just want to do partners. Like you, I'm a podcast host for the National Organization for Property Managers. So we do webinars. We do co-branded webinars. So we do a lot of things because I don't have a traditional sales team. So we're growing through our marketing efforts, SEO, and we have a company called Geekly Media that is they're a partner of ours on VPM, and they basically do all of our marketing for us. Our website, our HubSpot, our SEO, our blogs, all that stuff. So that's been helpful, but it takes a while. So early days, leverage your clients, not your clients, sorry, leverage your relationships, go to conferences, wait, the marketing will start working. And I think the one thing that I'm missing is two things, honestly, for growth. One is I'm missing a sales team, right? So that's on the roadmap for next year. And again, it's hard to hire a sales team, invest in that money, especially if you don't know how to do it.
Right.
So I don't want to just hire the wrong guy. So we're going to go ahead and grow that way. And then the second one is how do you reduce churn? So a lot of people that are building businesses, they're always focused on growth. And what happens is they spend all this money on growth, and then they have like a sieve, and they just have like just the back door. Just people, the clients are coming in and they're going out. So we're going to hire a customer success manager that is going to help us reduce churn and allow us to sell to our current clients. I think that's another thing that a lot of people miss. They're always out there, trying to get a new client. But once they get that client, they don't realize that client can be cross-sold or upsell. And so we look at, one of the key metrics that we look at is number of remote team members per company. And I think right now it's at 2.3, and we want to get that goal to 3.2. Like we want to add another body to that. And that's where your client success manager comes in, and that's where your customer service comes in and your account managers come in. So think if you can solve challenges at both ends, right? If I can solve it at the churn, and I can reduce my churn by 40-50%, and then I can increase my leads through marketing and SEO, and I can also close at a higher rate because now I have a sales team. Well, we're expecting another 60% year-over-year growth next year based on our plan. So that's how we're doing it.
Yeah, that's part of what we do, pulling back in leads and customers from your historical, automating that. But yeah,
a lot of people have gold in their database. They just don't realize it.
yeah, exactly. They're sitting on it. You could upsell it. You can pull back in old customers who, maybe they went with somebody else and now you call them back up and they're like, oh, I miss you guys. So,
yeah. Or they were a lead, they didn't buy, it wasn't the right time, and now it is, right? So I mean, I'm sure you guys have built some great marketing drip campaigns, but that only goes so far. If you actually have people that built those relationships, make those calls, and reached out, no one's doing that anymore. No one's just reaching out, making phone calls, and so I think that can be very positive as well. So, but yeah, there's a lot of gold in your database. So if you're listening to this and you do not have if you don't know what a CRM is, call Philip. If you do have a CRM but you're not utilizing it, call Philip. Like the CRM really is, you cannot operate a business without a CRM. And if your CRM has got a bunch of junk in it, what is it? Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly.
And so you have to and salespeople, suck at details. They suck at putting data into the CRM. They're great at making phone calls. They're great at having those conversations. So what we did at Empire is we actually had an assistant salesperson that I'm a big personality profile guy. They were high C's, detailed. They're the ones that gathered all the data, set everything. Think of it like a personal assistant. They were the assistant to the salesperson. The salesperson, they just went from client, potential client to potential client, from meeting to meeting to meeting, making that phone call or having a meeting. And man, they loved it because that's what they wanted to do, and the assistant loved it because they didn't have to do that. They just had to put the data in and
They
get
just had to plug it in.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of leads to the next question. You focus heavily on using trained virtual assistants. What are some smart ways founders can use VAs beyond admin tasks?
Well, so my line is if you do not have to physically be somewhere or have a license to do something, then it could be virtual.
Right.
So let's just kind of go through just like regular business, right? We talked about one already. Like you're literally there. I know of companies that their sales team is abroad, like literally their sales team is abroad. So you're a salesperson. If you can't afford somebody in the U.S., you can go find somebody Costa Rica, Colombia, Mexico, Philippines that will do sales for and everything. Let's just put a caveat here. Everything's a fraction of the cost. Okay.
Yep.
So sales, that assistant BDM, that could be virtual. Your marketing person could be virtual. Your SEO specialist, your blog person, all that stuff could be virtual. Your customer success person could be virtual. So I'm going to give you some examples of VPM. So with VPM, I told you I don't have a sales team, but I have a guy that does demos. His name is Connor. He lives in Costa Rica. And so Connor is our salesperson by doing the demos. We have White Glove, which is a service, and we have Gold Glove, which is a service. Connor does the White Glove, and then Leon, who's in Mexico, he's the recruiter for the Gold Glove, where he will do all of the recruiting off our platform, and he'll gather all the data, and he will actually score them, and then he'll present you that final person. He's got an assistant. Ariel's an assistant. That assistant is in the Philippines. Connor has an assistant. Jace is his assistant. He's in the Philippines. My marketing girl, Paulina, is in Mexico. My VA account manager, so my remote team member account manager, Alex, is in Colombia. My four out of my 6 developers are in Dominican Republic and Colombia. So basically, you can get any level of expertise. I know of companies, their CFO is out in Mexico. Their chief people organizer, or whatever they call it, the CPO, that they have somebody I think is in Honduras that does that. So you can literally have supervisors, you can have, managers, C-suite now, all abroad. So when I started this virtual assistant concept at Empire years ago, it started off as a checklist. Like I would literally give you a piece of paper, checklist, and send it to you, and you would do the tasks on the list. That morphed into I'm going to go ahead and take on some ownership of some of the processes or be like an assistant, right? Then it said I could take over the full process. Then it became I'm going to be a supervisor of people that are outside the U.S. Then it became I'm a supervisor of people inside the U.S. Then it became manager and C-suite. So we're seeing it all now.
Nice. How do you keep your remote teams locked in and productive and aligned?
Yeah, that's a great question, Phillips. One of the things that you have to do is you have to have the right culture, right? Whatever your culture is, you want to hire people based on the culture. So the first line of defense is finding the right people. That I'm going to use the Jim Collins good to great. He does a bus, I'll do a boat. Okay, so you gotta get the right person on the boat. So if you don't find the right people, and I'm not saying like integrity is just kind of like that's the basics. Like you have to have integrity. You can't be cheating and lying and stealing, right? But like for us, like we're customer service based. We are hard charger. We're passionate about what we do. We're positive. We're not Eeyores, right? We don't go below the line. So those are the right people I'm looking for. If you find the right person on the boat, the chances of them having a second job or not doing their job goes down dramatically. But just because you're the right person in my organization, I now got to find the right fit. So a lot of this stuff about managing and having the right person is all about the hiring system. If you don't have a hiring system, and that means you're not going to hire the right person, which means that it's not going to be effective. And then all of a sudden you say this doesn't work. So again, core values gets the right person on the boat. The job description is the rules of the game for the right seat. The personality profile, whether you use DISC or Myers-Briggs or whatever, predictive index, whatever you want to use, that tells you to put in the right person in the seat, and your key performance indicators puts them, rowing in the right direction. If you have all of that, I promise you, the chance of you getting the wrong person gets diminished, right? It's never going to be, you're never going to bat 1,000, but let's bat 800. Okay.
It shrinks down significantly.
Shrinks down significantly. Now, okay, so now I got the right person. Now I have to train them. Now I have to manage them. All right. So one of the things that people always ask me is like, well, how do you know that they're working? And then they want to use something like Time Doctor to record their screen. I don't believe in micromanaging. So there's micromanagement, there's abdication, and there's management. I believe in management, right? Abdication means I'm so busy, I'm not going to train you. Just go ahead. I'm not going to manage you at all. Just go ahead and do what you think. Like, read my mind and go do it. And of course, the business or the hiring manager says, you didn't read my mind correctly. This doesn't work. Then the micromanager, no one wants to be micromanaged. Even the high detail people don't want to be micromanaged. Matter of fact, they hate it the most, right? So micromanage means I'm going to hey, write a synopsis every day of what you did. That's like, it's going to take them longer to do that than their freaking job. So what does that look like? Okay, so what does management look like? Delegation look like? Well, number one is you have to have policies in place. Number one policy is every time I meet with you, you're at your home office, you dress appropriately. No Starbucks, no rock and roll t-shirts. Like, we're still gonna dress appropriately. You're gonna be on camera and you're gonna be in your home office. Number two is we use Slack. If I Slack you, you got 30 minutes to Slack me back. If I email you, you got 2 hours to email me back. And you're gonna hit your KPIs. If you don't hit your KPIs 2 weeks in a row, we got a big problem. Like, is the KPI wrong, or is there a challenge that we have to overcome? So first is like, are you available? If somebody's available, then you solved half the challenge, right? The next thing is, are they doing their job? Well, the KPIs will tell me if they're doing their job. Now, I personally don't care if my team works 40 hours a week or 35 hours a week or 20 hours a week. Don't care. They're available, they're getting their job done. I don't care.
As long as they're getting the job done.
Yeah, and I find it really interesting. There'll be people here in Texas or in the U.S., and they'll have somebody making $150,000 a year. That person comes in late, leaves early, takes 3 smoke breaks, takes a long lunch, and they don't even, not a big thing. Then they're paying somebody $7 an hour, and they want to have a piece of paper with everything they've done for 40 hours. You know what I mean? It's like you're micromanaging the wrong person. The guy making $7 an hour, he can go steal a couple hours. I don't care. As long as the job is getting done, it's getting done better and more effectively than I can do it. And so, having the right culture, having a hiring system, having the policy in place of being around, being available, and then training that person appropriately. Now, it could look different for each company, right? At Empire, we actually had like different. We paid, like, I think we had like a Grant Cardone company that did sales and marketing. Then we had NARPM did a lot of operations. We had some videos. We did a little bit of monkey see, monkey do. At VPM, we do a lot more monkey see, monkey do. You come in, and you're going to get trained by somebody. We're going to video it. You're going to watch the video, and you're going to create your own manual, and then you're going to teach me the next day. So that training takes a little bit longer, but there's not a lot of blowback, right? So like maybe it's 3 weeks of training or a month instead of 2 weeks, but you are able to handle 80% of the stuff as soon as I let you go and fly, so to speak. And then we meet with you weekly. I meet with you weekly, and we have a structure. We use EOS, traction, Wickman's book, and we have a feel good. We go over to KPI, tasks, challenges, And then we, instead of rate the meeting, we say, what's your stress level, 1 to 10? And we meet the same day, same time, every week. You don't miss it. You don't push it unless you're sick or out on PTO. That's it.
Ah, all of these points kind of lead to this question. This question, because I'm sure you had a very painful lesson along the way that brought you here. What's the one mistake or tough lesson you learned scaling VPM?
The lesson I learned scaling VPM. How about I give you a lesson I learned from
It doesn't have to be VPM, anything.
Okay. I'm going to give you one from my Empire days. You know, when you read these business books, they talk a lot about culture and vision and all this stuff, and some of it just sounds like hocus pocus, right? Because I'm a guy that gets in and just get my roll up my sleeves, get my hands dirty, and let's go, right? Let's go. And so I thought vision was kind of like hocus pocus, just like I thought core values was. And my vision when I first started Empire was like just have 300 doors managed, because I heard that's when you get that's when you get into profitability. So I'm like, okay. But as we grew, my vision and my business partner's vision got misaligned. And so a valuable lesson I learned was like, you know, if you feel strongly about the vision of the company and the organization is going differently than what you want, you need to have those conversations with your business partners sooner than later. I didn't like the new vision that we were going to is like, they were trying to become a national property management firm. We had no business. We didn't have the ability to do that, honestly. We didn't know how to raise capital. We didn't know how to build a software, none of that stuff. And I kind of just went along with my business partner because I didn't want to cause friction. What happened was we got to a point where we weren't making, like, the vision was just bankrupting us, to be quite honest with you. So we had to like, we'll have beers one day, Philip, and I'll tell you the full story. But basically, we were up against it. We were up against our credit line, and we weren't really, we weren't getting close to that vision at all. It was going to be it was going to take us like 300 years to get there. I wasn't going to be around for that. So I had to like bring my business partner in and basically say, hey, we have to realign the company. We got to get rid of a bunch of people. We're not going to survive. What I realized at that moment in time was he wanted to build something 20,000 units. I wanted to build 1,000 or 1,500 units in Houston and run the best, most efficient, stress-free property management company I could. And that at that point, I knew that our partnership was going to end. And like literally like a month later, he's like, "Hey, I found somebody who wants to buy the company." And that's how we ended up looking at selling the company. So I think so the biggest lesson is make sure you're in alignment with your business partners about the vision of the company. And the vision can change and should change over time. And I get that. But if you're getting those spidey senses in the back of your neck on this new vision and where you're going and how you're getting there, have the conversation sooner than later.
Very good point. What's something you wish more founders knew about remote staffing?
Man, I wish most founders knew the talent level that's out there. A lot of people just have this mindset that, well, for the high level jobs, I have to find somebody in the United States. And look, I still struggle with that from time to time. But I can tell you, you can find some incredible people that, PhDs, MBAs, just all sorts of degrees, tons of experience, just because they live in Honduras, Mexico, Philippines, whatever. That doesn't mean that they cannot do the job. So what I would tell founders is look online, look, for a remote first, and if you can't find somebody, then look for somebody in the U.S. But you'd be surprised the talent level that's out there across the world.
Yeah, I completely agree with that because I work with several different places. Ukraine, South America, Philippines, same. I see exactly the same thing that you're talking about.
I'll give you. Look, I love my two developers in the U.S. They started from the beginning. I needed somebody in the United States to start the project because there was just so much that needed to be done. I pay those guys around 140 a year. I pay my developers that are remote, that are, they're maybe one level below these guys, and I pay them about 30,000 a year. Right?
Huge
Just
difference.
that just tells you the difference, right? And that's $110,000 difference, and they're not $110,000 worse than these guys, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah, exactly. And I see that a lot. It's not that you don't want to hire in the U.S., but financially, business-wise, it doesn't make sense.
no, I mean, look, when I was running Empire, a maintenance coordinator, right? Somebody who just gets the tickets in, schedules with a vendor, and follows up. People in the U.S. wanted $50,000 a year to do that job, and I'm
Hmm.
just sorry that job just doesn't pay that. The company cannot afford that. Like, we run on small margins, and if I'm going to pay you $45,000, then I need you to do like 5 jobs. I was able to hire again a remote team member for about $24,000 a year, right? So about less than half. I found it's about like in between 1 and 2/3, 1 and 1.5, 1.5, whatever. Oh, 1 to 3. And so I was able to hire more people. And here's the other thing: the people in abroad, the remote team, they see working for your company as an opportunity and a career. The guy that's making $50,000 a year sees it as a job, and there is a big mindset difference between job and
Yeah.
career.
Yep. Very big difference. How has your thinking changed along the way? When you when you were in Empire, how did your thinking change to the point that you actually started looking at remote?
Well, it was I had to. I
Yeah.
had to, honestly. Like, I went remote probably around 2015, I think. So back then, remote was, again, like I said earlier, it's like a kind of a checklist, like a checklist manifesto type solution. I knew I needed more than that. So I'll tell you the moment it happened. So I had this lady named Sharon, and Sharon was my front office coordinator. This is when I had an office, and people would actually come into the office, right? This is like, again, before
Hmm.
COVID. And Sharon was this like just mean lady. She was mean. And I said, man, again, this tells you how bad my hiring practices were, my hiring system, because your front office coordinator should be what? Opening, welcoming, warm.
That's the face of your company.
That's right. Completely. So I said, you know what? I'm going to hire Sharon as a maintenance coordinator. I need them to be a little bit rougher around the edges, right? So I give her a raise, and I give her like about $2,000 a year raise. It's maybe like 10%, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less. And she comes to me within 2 weeks and says, I need more money. If I'm going to do this job, I need more money. And at that point, I'm like, you know what, Sharon? We're going to go a different direction. I let her go, and I hired 4 remote team members. I had 3 remote team members equal to one of her salaries. I was gonna interview 4. I was gonna hire 2. I ended up hiring all 4 because I saw, like, at the time, I think I was paying Sharon like 37,000 a year, and I was paying these folks $6 an hour. Now, everything's gone up. Like, these folks now are
Right.
like $10 an hour, right? So it doesn't sound like much, but it's a 40% increase, right? It's
Right.
from $6 to $10. But that was the day I realized, like, you know what? I cannot deal, like, and Sharon was not an A player, right? She would come in late. She had drama inside of her house, into her personal life that would be brought into my into my company. She wouldn't
Right.
get along with people. She had an attitude. I bring these people in. They have a completely different attitude. They have a buy-in. They just think that this is the greatest opportunity that they have. They're bilingual. They were all college educated. Sharon was not. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Just it shows you the level of person. But I needed to do that because I couldn't afford to hire one person, so I hired 4 people to do the to do you know to replace one person. So think about how many more tasks can get done, especially if you're not in a software business and you're in a service based business. those tasks are like water. The calls keep coming in. The tickets keep coming in. The service you just have to keep doing it. And if you're running a reactionary company in 2025, you're going to go out of business. You got to be able to run a proactive company and build relationships with your clients, upsell them, cross sell them, get referrals, and do all the things that you need to do to run a successful business. Financially, I did not have the profit margin or the revenue to do that with US based people. Once I hired my first couple of remote team members and I saw how well they performed, and I got rid of all my low performers, I replaced them with 2 or 3 people. I think at Empire I had 35 people working for me. 23 of them were in remote. We hired out of Mexico back then. Now with VPM, I'm in Mexico, Philippines, Dominican Republic, Costa Rica, in the U.S. And so we're in like 4 or 5 countries right now.
Very nice. So let's see. I was tracking my question here. Oh, here we go. I was thinking about automation. You use VAs a lot. Have you considered automation with all of the AI going on?
Yeah, it's a big unknown, to be honest with you, and I don't think it's there right now in our industry. So I'm in the I service the property management industry. There's a lot of AI companies that are popping up. What I'm being told is like it's helpful, but you still need remote team members to kind of manage the AI bot or to manage the process. But who knows? In 3 years, you know, it's definitely something I consider because we focus on those entry level jobs, and a lot of these entry level jobs may go. I think it's going to be twofold, right? I think a lot of those entry level jobs are going to go away, but I think new entry level jobs are going to be created where it's again, the AI bots, and so those people are going to get paid a little bit higher potentially. So yeah, I definitely, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at, building AI. Of course, I mean, if you're not AI enabled at some point, you're the dodo bird, I guess. You go get extinct. So we are looking at AI as a project for VPM next year. But I don't want to just be like AI just to say I have it. Like for example,
Right.
I can create AI bot today and say, oh yeah, put your job in here and it creates a job description for you. That's not AI. The way
No.
I look at it is we get an assistant and that assistant literally walks you through the whole process of hiring somebody. Now that is AI to me.
Yes.
So so I don't think that second thing is there just yet. For us, I mean, we may be able to build it, but for a lot of softwares out there, I think they're AI enabled. I don't think they're actually true AI yet.
No, they're not because they're not using it to the point, you know, what it's truly capable of for your sales, your marketing, your operations. There's a lot of process tasks that can be automated, but it still doesn't replace the human factor. You still need the human factor. So,
Yeah, like I'll give you an example. There's a maintenance AI company out there, and they literally in their commercials they say having a remote team member so 2012, right? And they say just use our AI bot. Well, I actually have their clients coming to me using remote team members because the AI bot doesn't answer the question correctly a lot of times, and it's frustrating their customers. It's answering stuff wrong, and they're losing clients because of the AI bot. So that's what I mean by the AI bot's just not fully there yet, right? It can have real basic conversations with you, but it could get you in some trouble. And so having somebody manage that is probably there's probably a remote team member or somebody to manage it with the AI, and you probably still have less team members, but you still need some team members. You can't just set it and forget it. 'Cause
yeah, that's so true. Just like you train your VAs very detailed, the same is true for AI. You have to train it and give it guardrails and say, do not do this. And if the question goes beyond this, send it to the human connection for
Now, let me ask you this, Philip.
follow.
How many small business owners do you think have the capability and the patience to train that AI bot?
They don't. They don't have the time. They don't have patience.
Because you have to build
That's
policies, processes, manuals. You have to build all this stuff so that the AI can read against it. And
exactly.
what they've been in business 20 years. What do they not have? Processes, policies, manuals.
Yep, exactly. That's that's where your VAs would definitely come in very helpful.
Yeah, for sure. They can build all of that stuff. Yep. I always look at it like this. Like this, somebody always says, "Well, I don't think I have enough work for a VA." So I go, well, for the job, maybe for the job they're looking for, like, I need someone to do lease renewals. Okay, that's not a 40-hour-a-week job, but are you doing an audit on your properties? Are you doing an audit in your database? Are you doing an audit on your CRM? Do you have this insurance? Do you have the, and you start saying all these projects that are on your to-do list that always get pushed off. By having a remote team member, like, you can literally, just get all those projects, completed within, a couple of quarters.
Yeah, the VAs can help with that. Your tech debt,
Absolutely.
your operations debt, all of that can be
Absolutely.
taken care of. All right. Well, what advice would you give to founders trying to scale without burning out?
Well, don't take all the money and put it in Hip National. Invest back in your business. So if you are profitable, if you're lucky enough to be profitable, then put that money back into the business in the form of people, right? So the more people you hire and have a hiring process, and you hire good people, then you could take a bunch of hats off. And then, of course, the first hat you take off is the one that you don't like doing. For me, it was bookkeeping, right? It's sales. It's, these are things that I don't like doing. So if you're going to be the guy that cannot let go to grow, and you're going to try to do everything, you're going to get burnt out. And if you hire the wrong people, and you do have to micromanage them, or you have to look over their shoulder, check their work all the time, then you don't hire the right people, then there's no reason to have that person there. So hire the right people, give them the tools to do their job, manage them, but don't micromanage them, and then elevate. So, you might be doing, like, for example, I used to do property management. Well, once I hired the property managers, I had to get out of their way. I was causing friction because I'm not the property manager anymore. I had to elevate to, director of operations, and then I had to elevate to CEO. And a lot of people, what they have to do for the next level. And so they go back into what they're
What
comfortable
they're
with.
used to doing.
Exactly. And so you have to create your next job description, and then you have to take action to learn what it is going to be the CEO. Like, I didn't know how to be the CEO at first. No one, I didn't go to CEO school. Like, I didn't know how to become CEO of Empire. And so
Right.
I would almost sabotage my property manager sometimes so I can go fix stuff, so I can have, like, oh, here, like, I'm Superman. I come to save the day. Like, I'm to save the day. You created the fucking problem, you know? So I would say you need to understand where you're going to, find the right people, hire them, train them, manage them, and then step up and literally become you. Who do you have to become for your company to get to the next level? Like, who do I have to become to go from a $2 million to a $10 million business?
Yeah, I like that. Completely makes sense. All right. Last question. Where can people learn more about you and VPM Solutions?
Yeah, you can go to VPM, so VPM Virtual Property Management, VPM Solutions with an S.com. And if feel so inclined to reach out to me, I love it. Pete at VPMSolutions.com. I'm on the socials, but I'm kind of older now. I'm the old school. I don't check them as much as I should, but you can find me on the LinkedIn, and you can find me on the Facebook, but email me, Pete at VPMSolutions.com. And believe it or not, Philip, I do not have an executive assistant. I did not have a VA that looks at my email. I actually get on my own email.
Yeah, that's good. I get on my own email too, so
There you go.
in the same boat. And you also have a podcast too. Do you want to share that?
I do. It's the NARPM, NARPM. If you go to narpm.org, you can find it there, and I think it's on all the other platforms. But it's the NARPM Radio podcast, and it's if you're a property manager or real estate investor, it's probably a good one for you.
Awesome. All right, Pete, thanks again for sharing your story. I know a lot of founders listening will walk away with actionable ideas. So
I
appreciate
sure
you,
hope
man.
so. Thanks for having me, Philip. Appreciate
Yeah.
it.
Appreciate it. You have a great day.
You too, bud. All right. I did okay?